So this video was completely unplanned. I actually had another one in the works about Harry Potter and My Hero Academia, which I'm still working on, but in retrospect, I should have expected Kendrick to give us something juicy to chew on. Kendrick Lamar's latest album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, has been out for about 3 days as of the recording of this video, and as a Kendrick album does, it has been making waves throughout the hip-hop scene and arguably the wider music landscape. I'm not entirely sure about the general consensus yet because I don't care about other people, but on the whole things seem to be more or less positive. I myself enjoyed it quite a lot. It's probably my favourite K-Dot album sonically, and the raw vulnerability and emotion on display here allows Kendrick to tell some really touching stories in the second half that I imagine ring home to many people around the world. Songs like Saviour, We Cry Together, Mother I Sober, Mirror, and the subject of today's video, Auntie Diaries. Auntie Diaries is the 6th track on the 2nd disc of Mr. Morale and the 15th track overall. In the song, Kendrick details growing up with 2 trans relatives, his uncle who is a trans man and his cousin who is a trans woman. He talks about the difficulties they faced growing up, the parts of their family and their culture that pushed back against them, and the ways that Kendrick helped to contribute to that culture, not necessarily wanting to hurt them, but doing so anyway, in part due to his repeated usage of the word fag. I'm probably not going to put the word in because I don't know what YouTube's gonna do if they pick that up. Also, I'm a pansexual NB, so yeah, in case anyone was wondering. Which also means I do have a fair stake in this. Homophobia and hip-hop have they've been in bed together, let's put it that way. When it comes to things like sexuality and gender nonconformity, it sometimes feels like hip-hop and, to a degree, wider black culture have often struggled to evolve, let's say. Obviously things are getting better. It's hard to imagine Frank Ocean coming out or Lil Nas X existing 30, 20 years ago. But on the other hand, the more things change, the more they stay the same. It was only last year that DaBaby went randomly homophobic in a concert, and Dave Chappelle outed himself as a TERF on Netflix. And one of the ways that hip-hop has expressed its loose relationship with those kinds of attitudes is with its usage of the word. A word Auntie Diary uses a total of 10 times. Yeah, Now that sounds pretty bad, but let's try and take a look at the context again. When Kendrick uses the F slur, he does it in 2 contexts. One, when referring to himself and his friends as they used to be, and 2, once, when he's speaking through his cousin, Mary Ann. When he speaks from a more present perspective, he uses the term F-bombs. It's clear that when he uses the word, he's doing it as a way to reflect his mindset at the time. It was just a word that everyone said. He didn't think much more of it. It's like when people used to say, "Oh, that's so gay," not thinking that they might still be hurting people by using language like that in that way, despite not necessarily considering themselves homophobic. It's just a word, and they're not saying it with the intention to hurt a gay person, so what's the problem? Kendrick is confronted about this attitude by Mary Ann, who reminds him of a concert in 2018 where, as he and a white fan rapped Mad City, he reprimanded her for saying nigger, even though she was just rapping along with him. Mary Ann draws attention to his hypocrisy, stating that he can say the F word if he lets a white girl say the N word. And it's a good message, a great way to get people to understand the damage that using the word can do, even if you do so with no bad intentions. Kendrick here is firmly saying that if you aren't one of the people who own that word, then you shouldn't be saying it. He says, in a song where he says the word 10 times. Yeah, okay, so, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. The song is about Kendrick saying you shouldn't use the word while repeatedly saying the word. And yes, he is portraying his younger self who is ignorant of the effect that he is having, but he's still saying it. And that is a hypocrisy that goes unaddressed in the song. To better explain it, I'm going to draw a comparison to the N-word, which Kendrick does, but I don't think the comparison is as simple as he thinks. Say that a white rapper like Post Malone made a song talking about how he used to be racist, but now he's changed and grown as a person, and as part of his attempt to illustrate this, he says the N-word multiple times in the chorus. I don't think people would be as understanding as they are in this situation, Kendrick himself included. Another example might be the film Cuties. A big part of the backlash against that film wasn't necessarily that it was about childhood sexualization, but that in condemning said sexualization, it also partook in said sexualization. So what makes this situation different? Why is Kendrick's usage of more defensible for some people? Well, I hate to say it, but I think it comes down to a kind of privilege. Not to play suffering Olympics, but when it comes down to it, sexuality and gender are more controversial topics, to say the least. You're more likely to see someone saying anti-LGBT rhetoric than openly racist rhetoric. Not that people don't peddle racist beliefs, they usually just make more of an effort to try and clean them up. It's just more normal to dismiss LGBT people, to lobby against them, to deny them their own existence, like the open racism and usage of the N-word in decades prior. Just look at Eminem, how many times has he said and he doesn't even have the excuse that people say Kendrick does. He just says it, and what have people done about it? Nothing. They might call it out, but ultimately nothing of consequence happens. Same with Dave Chappelle, ultimately he hasn't really been affected by getting cancelled. If anything, he probably thinks he's benefited from it. And I'm not trying to lump Kendrick in with these guys, he obviously has much better intentions, and the message of the song itself is one that is very much needed. We need people like Kendrick to take a stand against these issues, and I really hope this song sparks a long overdue discussion. But while the song represents great potential change, it also represents how much more there is to go. I understand that the song is a very personal one for Kendrick, and it makes sense for him to want to do it solo, but I think it perhaps would have been a little more sensible and would have made the song a little more thematically consistent if he'd gotten an LGBT artist to do at least that part. At the end of the day, it's a very sticky topic, a very difficult one for those of us that are queer. I know there are many who feel his usage of the word invalidates any positive message he's trying to spread, just like there are many who feel like the context and intent of the song make him using it justifiable. Personally, I'm somewhere in the middle. I'd be lying if I said the song didn't make me uncomfortable, and I can see bad actors taking it the wrong way and using it as an excuse to say in certain situations. Kendrick also dead names Caitlyn Jenner, and I can see statements like "my auntie is a man now" reinforcing certain ideas like "she, but she's really a he." That kind of stuff. However, I also think that if you remove the word, then the song itself in a vacuum is made slightly weaker. It kind of loses a bit of the weight it has. Like I said earlier, it probably would have been best for Kendrick to get a queer artist to act as his mouthpiece, but again, I also understand that this is a song about his development as a person. Ultimately, I think each individual queer person should be able to decide for themselves how they feel and engage with each other about what is right in a safe, healthy way, and I think that is a conversation for us to have. Not that straight cis people can't have their own thoughts about the song and can't add to the discussion, but, and I say this meaning well, It isn't your place to decide when and where usage of the word is justified, just like it isn't a white person's place to decide when they can use the N-word or not. Have your thoughts, give your thoughts, but don't invalidate ours. So yeah, in conclusion, there's still plenty of discussions to be had, and regardless of whether or not history will approve of Kendrick's usage of the word, I think we can all agree this marks a big new step when it comes to discussions surrounding hip-hop and its relationship to homophobia, and for that, if nothing else, I am grateful. Hopefully this video came out alright. Like I said, I wasn't planning on making it, especially so soon after my last one, but hey, sometimes stuff just happens, and I wanted to add my thoughts to the discussion, get them out, sort through them, that sort of stuff. This is actually the second time I've derailed my plans to make a video about something that really struck me. I don't know if this is going to be a trend, but more videos. If you enjoyed this, then like, comment, share, subscribe, all that. Links to my Patreon and my socials in the description below, and yeah, see you next time. Bye bye.